Hi, this is James Garotoli here with a topless video. I haven't done one of these in a long time and I figured it's time to do one, so I decided to do something fun. As I can imagine, a lot of people are probably wondering, James, what are your most wanted books that you want for your collection? As I got several books I would love to have for my collection. Rare, hard to find, obscure books that I would love to own and have part of my collection and read them, of course. So, for today's topless video, I'm going to talk about the top 15 most wanted books I want for my collection. Alright. Number 15, Ghouls by Edward Lee. This is Edward Lee's first novel he wrote under his actual name. Before he wrote under a pen name, he published two books, which I heard from my friend Leon. His first work his early work is actually really good, but for some reason Edward Lee was dissatisfied with it, took a bit of a hiatus, and then came back with a new horror novel under his actual name, and actually he named the main character after his pen name in Ghouls. And I heard this is a really good, like, late 80s horror novel. I'd love to check this book out. It's about a detective comes back to his hometown and there's like some killer on the loose, and it turns out to be like some supernatural creature of some kind, and the cover looks really cool, so I would love to get Edward Lee's Ghouls one day. Number 14, The Blade Runner by Alan E. Nourse. This is a book I want to have to my collection and read. A lot of people, have probably not heard of this book, but those who have know this is the book that the name was taken off from this book and used in that shitty Ridley Scott movie Blade Runner, which I absolutely hate. It's one of the top films I absolutely dislike, for the reason that it does not follow Philip K. Dick's novel. It completely trashes his book and just alters the whole story and changes the whole plot completely, and adds a bunch of other bullshit that's not even part of the original story, and takes out a very important message that I felt was very important in the book and the movie. They just throw all that out, and I'll save that rant for a future topless video on the top worst film adaptations that I do not like. But anyway, the reason why I do not, the main reason why I do not like Blade Runner is because the name is from another book which has nothing to do with Philip K. Dick's novel, Dangerous Doctor Sheep. Which the name it implies, do animals fear of being replaced by electric versions of themselves? That's the whole kind of thing of the title of Philip K. Dick's novel. The title for The Blade Runner by Alan is about people who work in the black market who go running around collecting organs from people that are killed like in crime scenes or accidents, and basically these people are running around carrying scalpels, and they have to get to the organs to the black market before like the organs expire and stuff, or the cops show up and stuff. Hence the name Blade Runner, which makes sense. In Ridley Scott's movie, the Blade Runner. What the hell does a Blade Runner mean? Rick Decker is a bounty hunter. He's not carrying around a knife, a dagger, or a sword of any kind. So why the hell is it called Blade Runner? It has nothing to do with the Philip K. Dick's original story. It really angers me when I think about it. But anyway, this is a science fiction book I want to read to see what it's like, and to use it for the future top list of top worst adaptations that I dislike. As I'm very curious about this book, as there was going to be made a movie of the Blade Runner, but it, of course, got in development hell, and then, of course, Ridley Scott decided to use that title for his movie, which is a really lame move, if you ask me. If you don't like the title of the book, work with the author to come up with a different title. Then just let's just take the title from another book and slap it onto this one. It's lazy, pure laziness, you ask me. But anyway, all right. Number 13, Precipitive Eve. This is a Japanese horror novel I would love to have in my collection. I've been a fan of the video games for the PlayStation. I like the second one a lot more than the first one, but I love reading books from other countries, and I would love to have this book. For some reason, this book is out of print, and it's very pricey to get. Like, there's 3 or 4 copies I found on eBay right now. They're a bit pricey, but I'm a hardcore book collector, so I'm willing to pay to get this book, as I want to check this book out. I wish these books would get reissued and stuff. Like, I don't understand why some publishers don't reissue books and stuff. Like Japanese horror does very well over here, and I wish more of it would get reprinted and stuff. But this book is basically about a doctor's wife gets into a car accident, and he tries to save her, but then gets taken over by this kind of like Parasite that starts taking control of him and other people around him and stuff. And basically, this parasite wants to create the ultimate living life form. Is going to use humans as their hosts. It sounds like a really interesting book, so I would love to have this one for my collection and read it on the channel. All right, number 12, the Oxford Time Travel Doomsday Book. This is a science fiction novel I discovered by accident one day, and when I saw the cover, it immediately drew my attention to it, and when I read the plot, I thought, I gotta have this book. So the plot of this book is about a college student or university student. This is in the future of England, and basically students are given an assignment where they have to go back in time to do their research, and then when they come back with their notes, that way they're not like copying or cheating with their homework assignments. They write in their own words what they see, what they saw, and use that, which is a really interesting idea. But of course, a bunch of things go wrong during this one trip. So I would really like to check this book out. It sounds really interesting. So hoping one day to get that book on my channel. Okay, number 11, The Melting Pot, the graphic novel. This is a graphic novel I would love to have, get one day. This was the one film, Heavy Metal 2000, was loosely based on The Melting Pot, and I'm very curious what the original graphic novel is like. I know it's one artist I really like, Simon Bisley, I believe his name is. He and two other artists, they collaborate together on this graphic novel, and this looks like a fun read. Like, it's just got violence, action, gore, like hot beefy guys, exotic looking women, and that sort of thing. And this sounds like a lot of fun to read. I did enjoy the film that it's loosely based on, Heavy Metal 2000. I would just like to I'm curious what the original graphic novel is like. And prices for this can range. I did see, like, I think 2 copies for a reasonable price. I have to keep my eyes open for a good edition, because I don't want to get like some average edition where it's badly damaged and stuff. I want a nice good edition when I go to get it. So hopefully one day I'll get this graphic novel. Okay, number 10, Joyride by Stephen Fry. This is one horror novel I would love to own. I discovered this book through my friend Leon the Paperback Maniac when he did a review of this book, and this sounds like a lot of fun. One thing of us horror fans we try to find is that we try to find like horror books that are like slasher themed, and it seems like a very difficult genre to find in horror books. I found a couple that have that slasher vibe. Most have that kind of like crime horror fusion thing, which it doesn't really work. It doesn't feel the same. But anyway, Joyride has that 80s slasher vibe that I really enjoy. It's basically about a bunch of friends. They want to go to a place that like have a party and just screw around and stuff, and so they decide to go to this cemetery to mess around. And unfortunately, they come in contact with the groundskeeper, who's this disfigured person who was bullied years ago, and his face is badly damaged from a prank, a cruel prank, and he thinks that these teenagers that are there are the ones who did the prank to him, and there's a girl they had a crush on, and he thinks this woman is the same woman they had a crush on, so he begins picking off the teenagers one by one in very graphic and brutal ways. Well, you got basically the girl and the others are trying to outsmart the killer, and I heard this is a very fun book. And from what I've been told from Leon, apparently the guy who wrote it, he was like an editor for for a publishing house, and he gave like he decided to try his hand out in writing. And the guy is apparently a very good writer and stuff. So I can't wait to have this book one day. This is one book that it's out of print, so prices can range from reasonable to just too pricey. So hopefully one day I'll get this book, have this book as part of my collection. Number 9, Cold Front by Barry Hammond. This is this one is a very obscure horror book that I have had no luck finding anywhere. I discovered, Joyride, I discovered this book through my friend Leon's channel, Paperback Maniac, who had a copy of this book, and it sounds like a very fun, it sounds like a very fun and very brutal horror novel with a lot of kind of like dreary atmosphere scenes and nightmarish scenes as well. And it's basically about these three guys that work for an oil rig, they decide to rob their boss to get more money, and they accidentally kill him in the process. So they decide to hide his remains and then just like head out of town for a while. Unfortunately, their timing isn't perfect. They get caught in a snowstorm and they're forced to abandon their car. Then they find this cabin, and then this woman appears, and they hold her hostage. However, there's something strange about her, and then a bunch of like supernatural elements start happening in the book, and it sounds like a really good read. This book is very hard to come by. I haven't been able to find a copy through Amazon, eBay, or anywhere else. It's like very difficult to track a copy down this book. I did hear that this Cold Front was getting reprinted. However, I read that people's orders have been delayed, and that's never a good sign. So I don't know if you can get this book now. Apparently the author was dissatisfied with the work, and that's why it's been so difficult to get back, because this author doesn't want to reprint his work. And man, I really hate when authors do that, when they decide not to republish their work and they're not satisfied. Just let people read it out as a curiosity, even if you don't like what you wrote. Just let people read it just for curiosity. Hopefully one day I'll get a copy of this book. I don't know if I'll ever get an original paperback. I can imagine it's going to probably cost me an arm and a leg, because it's so hard to find. Or maybe one day I'll get lucky and I'll find one in the wild, or get that reprint edition. Who knows? Hopefully one day I'll get it. Okay. Number 8, the Cyber 6 comics series. When I was growing up as a kid back in the mid and late 90s, the cartoon shows were amazing. There was like so many cool shows, and that's one thing I kind of missed today with a lot of like cartoon shows and other shows, where the 80s and 90s just had so much freedom, creativity with characters, themes, plots, and all that stuff, where the writers and creators could just do whatever they want. And then today it's kind of like more restricted. That's why a lot of people go independent and they do what they want to do versus what networks want. But anyway, one of the shows I liked watching as a kid was Cyber 6. This was like a cool, like kind of like sci-fi action supernatural horror show about this woman who like works as a teacher, but then during the night she like changes her whole look, and she's like this like superhero, and she basically fights like this evil scientist and stuff in this like fictional town. It was such a well-drawn animated show. It was really good. And for years I never even it was funny because all the times I watched the show, I was never like, what's this show from? Is this from like a book series, a comic series, or what? So one day I was curious. I looked up Cyber 6 and discovered it's part of like a comic book series. I was like, oh, so that's what the show's from. But then I was even more surprised to find out that Cyber 6 was an adult series. So I was like, whoa, this was an adult series. And sure enough, when I looked it up, the comic is like, it looks way better. It's got like graphic violence, nudity, and even sex scenes, which were completely cut out of the show, of course. I thought, oh. So I am now curious to check this comic series out. However, I don't think it has an English translation, so I'm going to have to pick a language and learn and translate it so I can read it. It's available in French, Italian, and Spanish, I believe. So I'll have to pick one of those, depending on what editions I can find on eBay one day. I'll definitely have to check this series out, as it looks really cool. Or maybe one day I'll get an English translation, hopefully. Alright. Okay, number 7, Dark Advent by Brian Hodge. This is a obscure post-apocalyptic novel I would love to check out. I discovered this book on a Facebook group where someone said it was kind of similar to Swan Song, except the main characters are like a bunch of like teenagers and stuff trying to survive in a post-apocalyptic world where dealing with like supernatural elements. This book sounds like a really good book, and I really like the cover. And this is one thing I love with 80s and even 90s books, where it has a die cut, so you see this like demon mouth. When you open it, it's got these like the characters inside, and you see like this post-apocalyptic world there. And I really miss that. I really wish book publishers would do the die cut covers again. They were so cool. But this book is very difficult to come by. It's out of print. I see prices range from reasonable to very pricey, depending on the condition of the book. So I'm hoping one day I'll get to check this book out, as I gotta do more post-apocalyptic novels on my channel. Number 6, Druna comic series by Paolo Annunziata. I'm hoping I'm pronouncing that name right. This is a comic series I discovered when I began collecting magazines of heavy metal, and there's this one comic series that appeared in the 80s, and it featured this like really busky, muscular woman who is like living in this like underground base and is trying to survive in this like post-apocalyptic world, and you got these like androids are trying to enforce martial law on people and stuff, and then you got this mysterious infection going around where there's like this like kind of living organism that's on this like underground base that they're in, and the main character is trying to survive, of course. I didn't know much about it until from this one channel, Archstubble, who does a really good in-depth videos on artists and their work and stuff, and it's a really good channel. I recommend if you're looking for other graphic novel, comic book series, or just want to know more about artists that do like all those eye-catching covers and stuff. Archstubble. I'll leave a link in the description of the video for you to check out. But anyway, this one video he did on this one Italian artist really caught my eye, and I found the whole this Dunham series like really interesting, and it has a lot of twists and turns in it. I thought it was really creative, and of course I liked how it's science fiction, horror, adventure mixed with exotic themes. I really like that, and this sounds like a really interesting series. I'd love to get on the channel. There is one graphic novel that I'm eyeing to get, but it's very pricey, so hopefully one day I can get it. And the offer did continue the series, did continue the series, so I have to check those out and see if those are good or not. But I really like to check out the Dunham the Duran series on the channel. Number 5, Fight to the Dead, the Hungarian science fiction novel. This is one book I would really like to get. One of my favorite '90s movies I really like is Demolition Man. It's such a fun movie. I really enjoy it. However, I discovered that apparently it's based on a Hungarian science fiction novel, which the author claims that they stole 75% of his book from the film, and this author could never afford to take the movie studio to court because it would just be too expensive for him. So I'm very curious about this, as I'm very curious, like, what is this book like? I want to check it out. However, I have been unable to find any editions of this book, like, in any other, like, Hungarian or translated to another language. I have yet to find any other editions of this book, and I'm hoping one day I can find this book, translate it, and review on the channel, as I'm very curious what this book like, as I love reading other books from other countries and stuff, see what how authors do their stories in Europe and stuff. So this is going to be a very, very obscure book to find. I just have to keep my fingers crossed that one day I'll find a copy of this book on eBay from like Italy, French, or some other country, and I can translate it and check it out. Number 4, Labyrinth of Reflections by Sergei Lubyanko. This is a Russian book that I would love to have a part of my collection. I already have his other Russian novel, Nuclear Dreams, which I need to translate that book and read it and then do a review on the channel. As this guy has a lot of books that he's written that have yet to be translated to English, and a lot of his other stuff sounds really interesting, and this one sounds like a really fun book. I discovered this book on Wick along with Nuclear Dreams, and the whole plot of Reflection of Labyrinth of Reflections sounds like a really interesting story. It's a sci-fi cyberpunk action book about people that play like these online death matches, and apparently there's one part in the book where this area is heavily based off the levels of Doom. So I'm very curious what that's like, and just the whole book in general. It just sounds like a really fun read. Now, I have found out this book has been translated to English, but apparently it's only ebook form, and the person who did this like 1-star review of it said that they only followed one half of the book, and they never bother doing like a follow-up to it. So I'm hoping one day I can get my hands on a copy of this book. Unfortunately, the ongoing war with Russia attacking Ukraine has prohibited any ordering from Russia, so I can't order anything from that country. So I have to keep my fingers crossed that another country will have that book and I can get it one day. Okay. Number 3, Cave Woman comic series by Bud Root. This is another comic series that I would love to check out. This comic series is about this girl and her father who works for the military, comes up with like this teleporter device, and it allows him to go back in time, and it takes him right back to the dinosaur, like the Jurassic era. So he brings his daughter to show him Oh, he brings his daughter to show her that, what this portal can do in the world that he can explore. However, something goes wrong when either with the teleporter machine or the father has an unexpected accident, and so the girl has to survive out in this dinosaur world. Then it cuts to a few years later, where the U.S. military has figured out how to recreate the father's portal machine, and when they try it, they open a portal, which all these dinosaurs start coming out into their world, and of course the main character the main character enters their world, and it's like it just absolute chaos happens and stuff. This sounds like a very fun comic book series. I've heard nothing but good reviews about it. Like, it's both fun, action-packed, funny, and exotic, and I would love to check this series out. However, trying to get the early comics is very pricey. This is still an ongoing series with Bud Root still doing Cave Woman comics, and now it's like his other characters part of the story and stuff. And the one thing that makes this series a bit difficult to get is that there's different editions to like the different comics and stuff, and there's like really like spicy covers I'd love to have, but trying to like get all that is very difficult depending on like prices and conditions and stuff. So I'm hoping one day I can eventually start collecting the Cave Woman comics and read those on the channel. That would be a lot of fun to read those. And there's also another comic series I'd like to check out that came in the 90s as well. This came after Cave Woman. Jungle Fantasy. That's another one I discovered by accident. That one looks fun too. Number 2, Neuromancer by William Gibson, the 86 hardcover and the graphic novel. One of my favorite cyberpunk novels is Neuromancer. One of the very first books I read when I was a teenager, and it got me hooked on like sci-fi and cyberpunk things, and I really like this book. Unfortunately, this book does not have many good editions. Like, there's a couple of paperback editions I'd like to have, but the hardcover has a really cool cover I would love to have, and it's got like, it describes the world of Neuromancer perfectly. You got the main character who's like got his keyboard, which the hackers use to when hacking stuff, and then Molly Millions is in the background in this like very like kind of like rough area of town and stuff, and it's got like the whole like kind of like 80s. It's like kind of like 80s and 90s fusion with sci-fi stuff. It's a really cool cover. Unfortunately, this cover is extremely expensive. This would cost me an arm and leg to get it, but I'm still gonna do it one day when I finally have the funds just to pull the trigger and get this book and make it part of my collection. I really love to own it, and along with the other paperback editions as well. There's also a graphic novel of Neuromancer. Back in the late 80s, there was going to be a graphic novel series that would follow Neuromancer, and they only did the first half of the book. I don't know what happened. I don't know if the deal went through or something came up. I don't know. I'll have to look into that, but there's a graphic novel that follows the first half of Neuromancer, and it looks really cool. Like, the art looks amazing and stuff, and I would love to have that for my collection. So I'm hoping one day I can get that graphic novel and that hardcover edition of Neuromancer. And for number one, is the Richard Bachman novels Rage, The Long Walk, Road Work, and The Running Man. This is the top books that I want to have as part of my collection. I already have one. I already have like a British edition of The Running Man, but I still want to get an American edition, and I'm seeing some copies starting to float around in like either really good condition or in really rough shape. So I'm keeping my eyes out for a good American edition. But I would really love to have the other books, The Long Walk, Road Work, and Rage, which is probably going to be the most difficult one to find. Now, I've seen copies of The Long Walk and Road Work floating around on eBay for prices can range from high to really high depending on the condition of the book. So I'm hoping one day I can get all the Richard Bachman books, have in my collection. The one that's the most difficult to get as of now is Rage, which I really wish I could find this damn book. Like, it annoys me the fact that King took this book out of print, and because of that, it is so goddamn difficult to find. It really annoys me, and people are putting this book for sale for ridiculous amount of prices. I've seen copies go for $2,000, $3,000, even $7,000. I thought, who is going to pay that? And just recently, when I was on eBay, because I'm constantly checking if one day I find these books, to see if they're available, someone is selling all 4 of the Richard Bachman books in really good shape, but they want $7,000 for them. I thought, this is ridiculous, man. Like, $7,000 for 4 books? You're better to sell them for like $500 or something, or like hell, 600 even. Like, for 4 good editions of the Richard Bachman books in good shape, lower the price down. That's too much. $7,000 is just too much if you ask me. But I am hoping one day I will track down all those Richard Bachman books and have them part of my collection, and I could have them on my shelf. That'd be great, and then read them, of course, on the channel. Alright, so those are the top 15 most wanted books that I want for my collection. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I'm definitely looking forward to doing updated book hauls or unboxing videos where I finally get these books I want for my collection. So that's gonna be, I'm looking forward to that as well. And I definitely need to do more top list videos. I haven't done these in a long time, so I'll definitely try to do some more sometime in the future. Alright, that's it for the video today. I hope you enjoyed it. Please don't forget to like this video and subscribe to October Library, the new channel where I post book reviews, book hauls, and artificial light content. Until then, I'll catch you later.